Shalom, shalom, Israel's brothers, Abba Allah coming back at you with another cold cut. I would like to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, double honors to the men out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth and honesty and sincerity, right? Help building this temple. Shalom to the mighty Ak, without their rebels and their husbands, holding down the households, raising up their children, and putting down their mighty necks for the truth, like our mighty foremothers did, man. Shalom, shalom, and the shalom to the children out there on the highways and byways, keeping the commandments to the best of their ability, abiding in their parents' households. All right, the topic we're gonna get into today is the second wilderness, right? I did a breakdown on the second Exodus. Right after the second Exodus, of course, we're going to be in the wilderness. You're not just going to be beaten down into the kingdom of heaven. It has to be built up all over again, right? Hey, what we did last time after we got out of the land of Egypt, we didn't go straight into the land of Israel, man. You have to be proved. You have to be tried, right? There's a lot of different things in the wilderness that you got to receive, you know, and it's going to happen all over again. Let me go to the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 15. This is the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 15. That which have been is now, and that which is to be have already been. So that which to been is now. So whatever happened, I guess what's happening all over again, right? And it says, and the Most High requires that which is past, and the Most High requires the things that happened before time, right? So we was in the wilderness before in the first, after leaving the first Egypt, we're gonna be in wilderness again after leaving the second Egypt, right? And during that time, A's man, you're not gonna believe it. You're not gonna believe the salvation you see it with your eyes, man. You're gonna be like, you're gonna be dreaming during that time, man. Let me go to Psalms 126 and 1. And it says, when the Lord turned again the captivity of Zion, we were like them that dream. So when the Most High turned back our captivity before our eyes, hey, it's like you was in a dream of state, man. You couldn't believe it, man. You know, Eve fall out, right? You know, you see the videos where the son that made it to the NFL or NBA gives his mom $10,000 and she kind of faints. Hey, she would probably thought that was a dream. I couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe it, man. Hey, it's going to be the same exact way magnified when the children of Israel led back into the land, when led back to the wilderness, when they see the salvation and the destruction of America. Hey, you're going to be like those that dream. And it says, then was our mouth filled with laughter, right? Because when that sets in, you're going to be like, then you're going to start laughing, right? Because you're going to be happy for what you just saw, right? And it says, in our tongue with singing, then said they among the heathen, the Lord have done great things for them, right? Their Lord have done great things for us, whereof we are glad. Turn again our captivity, O Lord, as the streams in the south. They have sown tears and shall reap in joy. Right? And guess what? Hey, we're gonna be like those that dream, and the heathen's gonna say, hey, the Most High did great things for these people. Man. The Lord is truly their God. Right? Let's go to Ezekiel 39 and verse 21. Actually, let's go to Isaiah 11 and 16 first. All right, we're gonna get in depth with this breakdown. Lord willingly, we don't miss no stones on time. It's the book of Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 16. And it says, and there shall be an highway for the remnant of his people. Right? That highway is going into we getting beamed up, man, into those chariots. Right? We have a straight shot to those chariots, man. You know, with a 1/3. Right? And it says, and there shall be a highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as if it was in Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt, man. Right? So as in the days we came up out of the land of Egypt, we gonna get saved the same exact way. No, Moses is not going to split the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean, but our salvation is going to be damn near the same by the way we get have a highway up to those chariots, man. Right, beaming up the elect, man. Right, let's go to the book of Ezekiel 39 and 21. Right, Ezekiel chapter 39 and verse 21. All right, this is the book of Ezekiel chapter 39 and verse 21. And it says, and I will set my glory among the heathen, right? And all the heathen shall see my judgment that I have executed in my hand that I have laid upon them. So the house of Israel shall know that I am the Lord their God from that day forward. And from that day forward, the heathen are going to know that the Most High belongs to us. The heathen are going to know that God is not for everybody. He's only for the children of Israel. Because only the Israelites will be saved, man. The 1/3, that remnant, right? What else does it say? And it says, and the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they trespassed against me. Therefore I hid my face from them and spared them and gave them into the hand of their enemies, so fell all they by the sword. And the heathen are going to know that too. They're not going to know that we went into slavery because they were stronger than us. They were mentally stronger than us. No, they're going to know that we went into slavery for our trespass against the Most High, right? And the Most High is going to make that very clear in that day. So that's why he hid his face from us. But in that day, he's going to shine his face upon the elect, man. And the elect are going to get beamed up. And guess what? We're going to be going through that wilderness. So let's jump into it, man. All right, let's go to 2 Peter 3 and 7, because this word is going to be reserved. This word is reserved unto fire and judgment. It doesn't matter how much money you have, right? It doesn't matter how much things you possess in this land, right? How much your checks are. Everything's reserved unto fire and judgment. This is 2 Peter 3 and 7. But the heavens, right? The heavens is going into this rulership, right? Not talking about the actual heavens where the Most High dwells, or the sky. It's going into this rulership. But the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, all right, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. So the heavens and the earth are kept in store. You know, you go to a store, they got things in the back, right? They got those things in the back, just waiting to be used and put on the shelves. Hey, guess what? This earth and this rulership is kept in store unto fire and judgment, right? When the Most High comes back to destroy this place, right? And it says, all kind of that's it on that, right? So that all the ungodly, and let me go to Job chapter 31. The wicked is reserved unto fire judgment, right? The wicked is reserved unto that day, man. And the remnant, the 1/3, is reserved unto salvation. This is the book of Job, chapter 21, and verse 30. That the wicked is reserved to the day of destruction. So the wicked, this rulership, this earth, right? Read on, and it says, they shall be brought forth to the day of wrath. So everything, all right, other than the remnant, is going to be reserved until fire and destruction when that time comes. All right, let's go to the book. Let's jump down to verse 10. Let's jump down to verse 10. Right, 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 10. And it says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Right? We know them bombs are going to hit this place, right? And simultaneously, when those bombs are hitting this place, you're going to have the 1/3 being beamed up into those chariots. And then after you get beamed up into those chariots, and guess what? You can be led back into the land of wilderness, beamed down back into your land, right? And it says, shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also in the works that are in shall be burnt up, right? And we know that's coming. So kind of just giving a background on what's going to happen before the Israelites get into the wilderness. You're going to have this place being burned up with missiles and bombs. The heathen going to be acknowledging that the Lord is our God, right? This rulership and the wicked is going to be destroyed in the land of America, right? Right? And it says, let's go to the second Ezra 13 and 13. So what's going to be happening, right, when Yahweh Shah comes back? Because after those bombs hit, you'll have Yahweh Shah come back and give the final blow to America, right? It's the book of Second Ezra. Because Ezra saw this, man. He saw this thing. You're Second Ezra chapter 13 and verse 13. I'll start at verse 8. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him, and were so afraid, and yet durst fight, because the Lord's going to put on the spirit of these armies to fight against them, even though they're really, really afraid. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out a fire out his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire. He spoke the words of the law and cut these heathen. And it was fire, pursuant to Jeremiah 23 and 29. Reading on, and it says, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude. You gotta imagine this. The Lord opened up his mouth, fire came out. This is what Ezra is seeing. And you may be like, no, Ezra is lying. That's only his cartoons. No, the Lord did this thing. And it came on the whole multitude. This fire was a great fire, right? Bigger than any explosion you have ever seen. And it says a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and a great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude, which was prepared to fight, and burnt them up every one. So that upon a sudden, meaning immediately, of an innumerable multitude, there was nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. And when Ezra saw this, he was afraid. He was shaking, man. All right. Verse 12, and afterward saw I the same man come down from the mountain, right? He came down from that fathership, right? And called upon him another peaceable multitude. And there came much people unto him, where some were glad. So you got, when the Lord comes back, after he destroys the nations, he's going to call unto him another peaceable multitude, the elect. Some were happy, right? They got to see the Lord's destruction on his enemies. They come into the Lord excited. And guess what? And it says some were sorry. Some of them were just like, damn, the Lord did this all for me. Hey, they was repenting in their spirit. Some were sorry. And what else? Some of them were bound, and others some brought of them that were offered. Then was I sick through great fear, and I waited, I say. Right? So the Lord's going to call upon him that peaceable multitude. That peaceable multitude is the Israelites, man. He's going to be gathering his chosen together, man. And guess what? It says some were glad, some was sorry, man. Right? Because you're going to be mourning in the wilderness. You're going to be mourning before the Lord, man. I'm going to Isaiah 45 and 23. In the wilderness, you will be mourning before the Lord. You know, you're not gonna be up there dapping up the Lord, man. You're gonna remember all your sins. You're gonna think to yourself, I don't deserve to be here. Why did I make it and those other people didn't make it? And I was just as wicked as them. That's what's gonna be going through your head, man. Right? Because it's of his mercy that we are saved. It's Isaiah 45 and verse 23. And it says, I have sworn by myself, right? I have sworn by myself, the word is going out of my mouth, and righteousness shall not return. That unto me every knee shall bow, every tongue shall swear. So you're going to be bowing before the Lord in the wilderness. You're not going to be standing up before the Lord. You're going to be bowing before the Most High, all right, and Yahushua. And surely shall one say, in the Lord have I righteousness and strength, even to him shall men come. And all that are incensed against him shall be ashamed. And they're going to be ashamed, man. You're going to have people crying, right? People are going to be ashamed. They're going to be bound before the Lord, repenting in their spirit, man, right? And it says, "In the Lord shall all the seed of Israel be justified in the sheep, and shall glory." Right? Let's get the book of Zechariah 12 and 10. Because in the wilderness, you're gonna be bound before the Lord, and you will repent in your spirit. All right. You're gonna see the destruction of your enemies. You're gonna get saved in the chariots. All right. You're gonna see the Lord destroy the nations. And you're gonna be like, damn, why me? All right, Zechariah 12 and 10. And I will pour upon the house of David and that happens to Jerusalem with the spirit of grace and of supplications, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him. So they're gonna be looking on you're gonna see the Lord face to face in that day. And we're gonna get into that too. You're gonna see the Lord face to face, and you're gonna be looking upon him, right? You're like, damn, that's who I pierced, man. It's gonna hit your spirit, it's gonna cut you up. And it says, as one mourneth for his only son. So the way you have your only son and he dies in a car accident, that's the way you're gonna be mourning when you see the Lord. All right. And shall be in bitterness for him, as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. Crying, so you're gonna have snot rolling all your nose. You're gonna be losing your wits, man, because you're gonna see the Lord. You're gonna remember that destruction he did for you, and all the times you went off against the Lord, all the times you put the Lord back on that cross, till you can do your dirty lust again, right? And it says, in that day shall there be a great mourning in Jerusalem. This is verse 11, as the mourning of Hadad Jaman in the valley of Megiddo. And the land shall mourn every family apart, and the family of the house of David apart, and their wives apart, the family of the house of Nathan apart, and their wives apart, the family of the house of Levi apart, and their wives apart, of the families of Shemaiah apart, and their wives apart, meaning everyone, right? Just going into everyone, all the tribes. Everybody's gonna be more. You can Jacob. I ain't crying before the Lord, man. I'm gonna be a man. I'm gonna be a soldier. No, you're gonna be crying before the Lord, man. Sobbing, bowing that knee, your head. You're not gonna be able to lift up your head to the Lord, man. And it says, and all their families that remain apart, every family apart and their wives apart. They're going to be mourning for Yahweh Shemashah, for Yahweh Shah. Let's go to Jeremiah 31 and verse 8. Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 8. We start at verse 9. Jeremiah 31 and 9. All right, it's Jeremiah 31 and 9. They shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel. Ephraim is my firstborn. So the Lord just said his people gonna come with weeping, sorrowness, right? His people gonna come remembering what the Lord did for them, man. You know, there's no getting around it, right? And like I said, we're gonna be bowing before the Lord. Jake think he gonna be standing up like this before the Lord. What's good, Lord? He gonna kind of do the head nod. All right, what's up, Lord? All right, thank you, Lord. Right, kind of go about his business. That's not happening, man. You're gonna be bowing before the Lord. Let's go to Psalms 52 and 8. Talking about what's going on, Lord. Thank you for your salvation. I really needed that. That's not happening, man. Lord will kill you. It's Psalms chapter 72 and verse 8. He shall have dominion also from sea to sea and from the river unto the ends of the earth. They that dwell in the wilderness shall bow before him. So though that our people that's going to be in the wilderness, that remnant, that 1/3, they're going to bow before him, right? And his enemies shall lick the dust of his feet. So you will be bound before the Lord. If you don't bow before the Lord, you're going to die. You're going to be destroyed, all right? Because that's pride. You're going to have to bow before the king in that time. As we read in Isaiah 45 and 23, Zechariah 12 and 10. Hey, if you want to bow before the Lord, let's go to Luke 19 and 27. If you don't want to bow before the Lord, what's going to happen? It's Luke 19 and 27. But those mine enemies, which were not that I should reign over them, bring hither and slay them before me. So Jesus the Christ, Yahweh Shah Mashiach, just said, hey, you're an enemy if you don't want to serve him. You're an enemy if you don't want to bow. So bring that person before me and kill him before me. I want to see his death. Kill him before me. I'm not closing my eyes, right? I'm not turning around. I'm not gonna say angel handle him. I want to see that man's blood in front of me because he doesn't want me to serve him. He doesn't want to bow before me. So guess what? You're gonna have to die. It is what it is. All right. So let's get the book of Exodus chapter 15 and verse 1. This is the song of Moses that's going to be sung during that time. As we read in Psalms chapter 126 and 1, verse 2, we're going to be singing and our mouths shall be filled with laughter. When you read Exodus the 15th chapter, that's actually a song that our people are saying, right? And we're going to get a few verses out that song. It's Exodus chapter 15 and verse 1. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto the Lord, and spake, saying, I will sing unto the Lord, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea. Right? And now who's that horse that's going to be thrown into the sea and the rider? Right? America, of course, right? In the oligarchy, the people that ride upon this nation, right? This oligarchy, this secret society, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, right? These people, that's the rider, right? Riding on on America, right? This great harlot, this great beast, right? The Lord is my strength and song, he has become my salvation. He is my God, and I will prepare him an habitation. My father's God, and I will exalt him. The Lord is a man of war, the Lord is his name. Right? Pharaoh's chariots and his host have he cast into the sea. His chosen captain also are drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them. They sink into the bottom as a stone. Verse 6, thy right hand, O Yahweh, has become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Yahweh, dashed in pieces the enemy. And we're going to be singing that, man. This is a song that our people sing for the destruction of their enemies. We're going to be singing that all over again, man. Lord willingly, I get to sing the same song, man. But, hey, chiefly the remnant, that 1/3, they're going to be singing that, right? They're going to be singing this song in the Lashawan Kadash, meaning the holy tongue, man. Right? About the destruction of Pharaoh, his men, the destruction of Egypt, right? This being Egypt all over again, and the salvation, and we're going to be praising the Lord our God. So you can read this all the way through. This is a song that our people are going to chiefly be speaking, huh? They're going to be saying, all right. Let's go to the book of Hebrews 3, because whatever happened, let's go to Romans 15 and 4 first, right? We have to learn what happened in the first wilderness to kind of apply it to the second wilderness, right? What happened in the first? If you read the book of Exodus all the way through Deuteronomy, right? Numbers, Deuteronomy, hey, you're gonna see what our people did in the wilderness. They murmured, right? They scoffed against the Lord. They didn't have any faith. They were unbelieving, you know. So you gotta we gotta learn what happened in the first. We gotta read the law. All right. Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning. So all the accounts of our people going off, the accounts of our people doing their own things, scoffing against the Most High. Hey, all the sins that was all in the wilderness, the tabernacle being set up, everything was for a shadow to come, and everything we have to learn from and apply it now, right? And it says, but it is Shalaki, and it says we were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope, right? So we have to learn from our past offenses. Let me go to 1 Corinthians 10 and 11, because we are our forefathers, so we got to learn. This is 1 Corinthians 10 and 11. Now, all these things happen unto them for examples. So the rebels being purged out in the wilderness, the earth that swallowed the 3,000, right? The men like Korah, right? That want to start seditions against Moses, right? Hey, all of these different things that happened in the wilderness were written written for examples, right? And they are written for admonition, meaning your warning, upon whom the ends of the world are come, upon this generation now, because the ends of the world is coming upon this generation. So you got to read these accounts to understand what's going to happen again, and what you should stray away from, and what you can kind of like observe and learn and apply it now. So let's go to Hebrews 3 and 7. All right, let's go to the book of Hebrews chapter 3, and let's start at verse number 7. Wherefore, as the Holy Spirit saith, today, if you will hear his voice, right, harden not your hearts, as in the provocation in the day of temptation in the wilderness. So the Lord said, don't harden your hearts. I mean, don't be hard headed as in the day of provocation when you were in the wilderness, right? And it says, when your fathers tempted me, proved me, and saw my works 40 years. So the Lord sent our people into the wilderness for them to be proven. But our forefathers ended up proving the Lord. That's going off, right? The Lord wants to try our people. He wants to try their hearts. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 8. All right, Deuteronomy chapter 8. Right. This is Deuteronomy 8 and verse 2. And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee. So the Lord's job was to prove us. He was supposed to try us. He was supposed to test us. But as we read in Hebrews 3 and 9, we ended up proving the Lord, going off. Right. And it says, to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou would keep this commandments or no. So the Lord wanted to know if we were going to keep his laws or not, man. By the way, and guess what? The wilderness is for the same thing. Yeah, he was saved from America. Yeah, you've seen the destruction. But is that it? Yeah, okay, you see on the Lord and his glorious power, right? You got saved within the chariot, but is that it? It's not it. All right, you still got to be proved, right? You got to still see if you're going to keep the Lord's commandments or no. Because guess what? The same way people died in the wilderness is the same way people are going to die in the second wilderness as well. And we're going to get into that. Let's go back to Hebrews chapter 3 and verse 9. All right. And it says, when your fathers tempted me, proved me, and saw my works 40 years. Right. Verse 10, wherefore I was grieved with that generation and said, they do always err in their hearts, and they have not known my ways. So in the wilderness, you can't err in your heart. You have to know the Most High's ways. How can you know the Most High's ways? Because you're practicing it right now. You have to practice it right now. That's why in Judges 5 and 11, we're rehearsing the righteous acts. You got to rehearse this thing. You got to, because in the wood, hey, guess what? You got to get everything to a T. You better not mess up in the second wilderness, man, because it's it for you. Yeah, you got saved from America, but just because you made it to the second, you got to pass on to the bottom of the covenant, man, right? You got to receive these different things, right? And guess what? You can't die in the second wilderness, right? It says, verse 11, so I swear on my wrath, they should not enter into my rest. Right? Because, hey, guess what? That people that died in the wilderness, they seen the Lord's destruction of it. They were singing the song of Moses, man. They seen all of that. Guess what? They didn't get to see the promised land. Moses himself didn't even get to see the promised land, or Aaron, right? It was only two people that made it, man, right? And it says, verse 12, take heed, brethren, lest there be in any of you an evil heart of unbelief in departing from the living God. In the wilderness, you're going to have people depart from the living God. Oh, I want to eat some McDonald's again. Oh my gosh, Wendy's. Remember that 4 for 4. If I hear a brother, Lord willingly, I make it to the second wilderness, and he come in my ear talking about, you remember that 4 for 4 with the ranch and how good Wendy's barbecue sauce was. Hey, I'm snitching. I'm telling on him to the Lord. Yeah, I'm gonna be a spiritual snitch. I always tell brothers that too. If I see anything off and you are around me and my family, and I get to make it, Lord willingly, I am snitching, right? Because you're not gonna mess it up for me, man, right? So you gotta take heed, man. Right? Lest there be an evil heart of unbelief from departing from the living God. You're gonna have brothers and sisters depart from the living God during that time. And the Lord said he has to purge out those rebels. Verse 13. But exhort one another daily, which is called today, lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin. For we are made partakers of Hamashiach if we hold the beginning of our confidence steadfast unto the end. Unto the end. And the end is not the destruction of America. The end is making it through the wilderness, man. Having slaves, seeing your kingdom be built up from the ground up, man. That's one of the most beautiful. But people want to be beamed down and straight into the kingdom. Hey, it's a beautiful thing seeing your kingdom be built up, man, from the ground up, you know. And that's what you're striving for, man. Right? Let's go to Micah 7:12. Right? You're not just gonna have the 1/3 all come out of America either. The 1/3 is gonna come from all around the world, man. All right, let's go to Micah chapter 7. This is Micah chapter 7 and verse 12. In the day also he shall come even from thee to from Assyria, and from the fortified cities, and from the fortress even unto the river, and from sea to sea, and from mountain to mountain. Notwithstanding, the land shall be desolate because of them that dwell therein, for the fruit of their doings. Right? World War III, the Most High is going to make this land desolate for their actions, for their works on the earth. You're going to be justified by your faith in the Lord and what you have done on the earth. And it says, verse 14, feed thy people which thy rod with thy rod, the flock of thine heritage, which is Israel, which dwells solitarily in the wood in the midst of Carmel. So the Lord is going to have his people in the wood. He's going to be feeding them, right? As a shepherd feeds his sheep. Let them feed in Bashan of Gilead as in the days of old, meaning as in the first wilderness. That's why we're reading about it. According to the days of thy coming out of the land of Egypt, will I show unto him marvelous things. The nations shall see and be confounded at all their might. They shall lay their hands upon their mouth, their ears shall be deaf, man, because they're going to see the destruction. And guess what? They're going to be confounded. But none behold, right? Yahweh is going to come from Assyria, from the fortified cities, from sea to sea, from the ends of the earth. And he's going to gather all his people from the ends of the earth, beam them down into the wood, and he's going to feed them as he did in the days before. Let's go to Jeremiah 15:18. Right, Jeremiah 15:18. So these are the things that's going to be happening in the wilderness. It's Jeremiah 50 and verse 18. Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will punish the king of Babylon and his land as I have punished the king of Assyria. And I will bring Israel again to his habitation, and he shall feed on Carmel and Bashan. So our people are going to be in Carmel and Bashan in the wilderness, in the wood, right? And his soul shall be satisfied upon Mount Ephraim and Gilead. In those days, in that time, saith the Lord, the iniquity of Israel shall be sought for, and there shall be none. In the sins of Judah, and there shall be none, for I will pardon them whom I reserve. And the Lord's going to pardon those Israelites whom he reserved in the wilderness, man. Right? As in the days of old, as in the days of Carmel and Bashan. We keep reading about the days of old because, hey, whatever happened in that first wilderness is going to be happening again in that second wilderness, man. And the Lord's going to have us feed as a righteous as sheep as he's our shepherd. Right? Let's get the book of Jeremiah 31 and 1. Right? Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 1. This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 1. And it says, at that same time, saith the Lord, will I be the God of all the families of Israel, and they shall be my people. Right? The people, that's like in verse 2, thus saith the Lord, the people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness, even Israel. So only Israel. So like that's how can everybody be saved? And that's the point I always want. How can everybody be saved when the Lord said, in the wilderness, only Israel, when I have caused them to rest? So if you were found grace and mercy left of the sword, you will be in the second wilderness. Verse 3, the Lord have appeared of old unto me, saying, yea, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Therefore, with loving kindness have I drawn thee. Again, I will build thee, and thou shalt be built, O Virgin of Israel. So you're not, like I said, you're not gonna be just beamed down into the kingdom of heaven. You're not just gonna be beamed down, and now you got slaves kissing your feet, and you're living in a big 18,000 square foot mansion, right? Because the Lord said many mansions are gonna be in His Father's house. You in an 18,000 square foot mansion, right, with 100,000 wives, right? Just giving orders. No, the Lord said He's gonna build you, right? And it says, O virgins of Israel, thou shalt be adorned with thy tabrets, and thou shalt go forth in the dances of them that make merry, man. Right? So, of course, the elect is going to be in that wilderness and they're going to have final grace, and the Lord's going to build them up from that point on. Right? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 60. Right? The kingdom has to be built up, man. Well, the kingdom is within us, but the city of Jerusalem, as I should say, should be built up. It's Isaiah 16 and 10, 60 and 10. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto me. So the sons of these different heathens, right, the slaves that we gathered from the remnants of the earth, right? Remember, it's not going to be America because America is going to be destroyed already, right? So it has to come from the other remnants of the earth. The Lord said they're going to build up our walls, right? And their kings shall minister unto me, for my wrath I have smote thee, but in my favor I have mercy upon thee. Therefore the gate shall open continually, they shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and their kings may be brought. Right? So these nations, they're gonna build up our walls, they're gonna build up our kingdom, right? Hey, that and I guess and that happened in King Solomon's kingdom, man. Right? His kingdom was built up, man. Right? Let's get that. Let's go to First Kings. This is First Kings chapter 5. And they was building up the temple, but nonetheless, hey, he had servants and of these nations building up his temple. It's First Kings 5 and 13. And King Solomon raised a levy out of all Israel, and the levy was 30,000 men. So he had a 30,000 men. Verse 14, and he sent them to Lebanon 10,000 a month by courses. A month they were in Lebanon, and 2 months at home. And Adoniram was over the levy. And Solomon had 70,10 that bear burdens. So the man had 70,000 men that bear burdens, and 80 fourscore thousand, meaning 80,000 hewers in the mountains. So this man had a lot of workers building up this temple. Beside the chief of Solomon's officers were over the which were over the work, 3,300, which ruled over the people that wrought in the work. And I guess the officers were the overseers, right? They were the overseers of the work, and they were all Israel. The people, the 80,000 and the 30,000 men, they weren't Israelites. They were these men of the different nations, bro. Right? Solomon didn't put his own people to work. They were the ones watching over the nations. That's the same way it's going to be in the kingdom, right? You're going to have men over the work, right? You have men set up in these different offices over the work, watching out the heathen, making sure they're doing the job correctly and diligently. Right. And it says, and the king commanded, and he brought great stones, costly stones, and huge stones to lay the foundation of the house. And Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders did hew them in the stone squares, so they prepared timber and stones to build the house, right? So that's, of course, that's what happened in history, and it's going to happen again when when this kingdom is going to be built up. That's what Isaiah 29:17, right? Isaiah chapter 29 and 17. It's Isaiah 29:17. I'll start verse 16. Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, hath he no understanding? Right? Read on. Right? You're not going to be able to speak against the Lord. He made you. Verse 17 is not yet a very little while, and Lebanon shall be turned into a fruitful field, and the fruitful field shall be esteemed as a forest. So that wilderness that we're going to be in, right now, that land of Israel is desolate. That whole that's desolate. And it's going to even be more desolate because of the bombs dropping, the wars that's going on. But the Lord said in that time it's going to be turned into a fruitful field. It's going to be like the Garden of Eden again, as we're going to read in Isaiah 51, right on down. So it's going to be turned into a wood. It's going to be turned into a great wilderness again. And it says, and the fruitful field shall be esteemed as a forest. And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book. So, hey, guess what? The deaf is going to hear the words of the book, right? And it says, in the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity and of darkness. Meaning, guess what? In that time, you're going to be getting the secrets. You're going to be getting who was David back on the earth. You're going to be getting, okay, this is the proper doctrine. This is the proper milk, right? This is what was really going on. All right, let's go to the book of Jeremiah. Right, you're gonna get all those secret things in the wilderness, right? Because right now we see out of a glass darkly, right? Let's get the book of Jeremiah. This is the book of Jeremiah 32 and 37. Behold, I will gather them out of all countries, whither I have driven them in my anger and in my fury and great wrath, and I will bring them again unto this place, and I will cause them to dwell safely, right? And they shall be my people, and I will be their God. And I will give them one heart and one way, that they may fear me forever for the good of them and of their children after me. So guess what? In that day, you're gonna have one heart, man. You're gonna have one way. You're not gonna have all these different doctrines, right? You're not. The Lord's gonna make it all plain in that day, man. So He's gonna open up the eyes of the blind. Because right now we see in obscurity, we see in darkness. Paul told you that, man, in First Corinthians, right? So guess what? The Lord's gonna reveal all those different things unto us, or unto the 1/3, Lord willing, I make it unto the remnant during that time, you know. So let's go back to Isaiah 29. All right, let's jump down to verse 24. And it says, they also that erred in spirit, all right, shall come to understanding. And it says, and they that murmured shall learn doctrine. Right? So you're gonna have the proper doctrine, you're gonna have the perfect doctrine in that time, because the Lord's gonna open that up unto you. Right? The Lord's gonna open that up to you. Let's go to Ezekiel 31 and 12. Ezekiel chapter 31 and verse 12. Right? This is Ezekiel chapter 31, and I'll start at verse 12. And it says, it's like Ezekiel 34 and 12. Ezekiel chapter 34 and verse 12. As a shepherd seeketh out his flock in the day that he is scattered among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep, and I will deliver them of all places where they have been scattered in a cloudy and dark day, because we're in darkness right now, right, as we just read. And the Lord's going to bring us out of that darkness in the wilderness. Verse 13, and I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the countries and bring them to their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers and all the inhabitants and places of my country, right? And feed us with what? Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, right? Hey, the Lord's going to give us that bread again, all over again, right? The Lord's going to give you that. He's going to give you food all over again. But what food is that going to be? It's going to be a proper doctrine. It's going to be with the words of life to rebuild our people up again. And it says, verse 14, I will feed them in a good pasture, and upon the high mountain of Israel shall their fold be. They shall lie in a good fold, in a fat pasture shall they feed upon the mountains of Israel. And I will feed my flock, and I will cause them to lie down, saith the Lord Yahweh. Right? Let's go to the book of Ezekiel 36 and 33. Right? Because the Lord's going to seek out his sheep that are scattered all throughout the earth, man. And he's going to make us, he's going to make us rest in the wilderness. Right? And we're going to receive the proper doctrine and understanding. All right, this is Ezekiel 36 and 33. This is Ezekiel 36 and 33. Thus saith the Lord God, in that day that day that I shall have cleansed you from your iniquities, all your iniquities, I will also cause you to dwell in the cities, and the wastes shall be builded. So the waste place is going to be builded. As we're touching on that point, you're not just going to get beamed down there, man. Right? You have to help build up this kingdom, man. You're going to be part of the building process, the foundation of the city of Jerusalem. Right? Verse 35, and they shall say, this land that was desolate is become like the Garden of Eden, and the waste in the desolate and ruined places are become fenced and are inhabited, man. Right? It's gonna be like the Garden of Eden all over again. You're gonna have a refresh button. It's gonna start over. Verse 36, then the heathen that are left round about you shall know that I, the Lord, built the ruined places and plant that which was desolate. I, the Lord, have spoken it, and I will do it. And the Lord's gonna do it, man. We look forward to this, man. Like I said, just because you saved out of America don't mean you made it, man. That's not what that means, man. You got to help build up this kingdom, build up this. And our Lord willing, whoever watches this video, Lord willing, hey, you make it, man, and you get to see the building process, man. Right? You know, Lord willing, I make it, man, and I get to see this building process, man. The Lord said He will do it, and we trust in it. That's faith. Verse 37, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, I will yet for this be inquired of them by the house of Israel to do it for them. I will increase them with men like a flock, as the holy flock, as the flock of Jerusalem in her solemn feast, shall the waste city be filled with flocks of men, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Right? Hey, we won't know that the Lord is the Lord in that day. Right? Hey, like the Garden of Eden all over again. Let's got Isaiah 51 as a reference. But let's get it, man. Isaiah chapter 51. The land of Israel is going to be like the Garden of Eden. Right? This is Isaiah 51 and start at verse 3. For the Lord shall comfort Zion. He shall comfort all her waste places, man. And he will make her wilderness like Eden. He's gonna make the wilderness like Eden, man. All right. And you can, brothers, they can't imagine that. You can see, you just look up the Garden of Eden on Google, and you just get two nasty Edomites holding an apple naked, covering themselves with a big leaf. Right? That's what you're gonna see. You can't really imagine what the Lord's gonna bring here, man. Right? I have not seen, ear have not heard. All right. And it says, in her desert like the garden of the Lord. Joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving in the voice of melody, man. Right? So it will be like the Garden of Eden all over again. And that's what we look forward to, man. That's the hope that the Lord has given to his people. All right. And what's going to happen in that wilderness? Let's go to Hosea chapter 2 and 18. Matter of fact, let's go to the book of Jeremiah first. What's going to happen in that wilderness? A new covenant, right, is going to be given to the elect. A new covenant is going to be given to the elect. It's Jeremiah 31 and 31. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in that day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt. Because guess what? In the old land, when we came out of the land of Egypt, the Lord gave us a covenant, man, in the wilderness. Hey, the same thing is going to happen again in the second wilderness. The Lord's going to give us a covenant. You have to pass under the bond of the covenant. Right, that's when you know you made it, man. When you pass under that rock, that bond, you got that spiritual body. Hey, you locked in, for lack of better terms, with the Lord. Right, and it says, I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break always, though I was a husband unto them, saith the Lord. Verse 33, but this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people. So guess what? The Lord said, hey, if you pass under that bond of the covenant, that rod as a sheep, you're gonna be, hey, you're gonna have those laws in your inward parts. You're not gonna be able to go off ever again, man. Ever. You're not gonna feel the lust. You're not gonna feel temptation. Right? The law, you're gonna automatically be righteous. That's what we want now. We want to be automatically righteous, man. That's what we're fighting for. That's the new covenant. All right. And it says, and I will write in their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord. They shall all know me, for the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, I will remember their sin no more. So you're not gonna need to teach your brother. You're not gonna be, Lord willingly, man. Not even Lord willing, it's gonna happen. You're not gonna be out there doing breakdowns, man. You're not gonna be out there on the highways and byways teaching, saying know the Lord, breaking down different topics, man. They're gonna already know. The one thirds are already gonna have that in their inward parts, man. All right, that's what's gonna happen. That's the new covenant. Hey, that's what our people, the one third, that's what they're seeking, man. All right. Let's go to Ezekiel. Let's go to the book of Job 5 and 22. Actually, see what I want. Ezekiel chapter 19. Bear with me. Icon. This is the book of Job. Let's go to Job 5 and 22. Another thing about the wilderness, right? You're gonna be in the wilderness, so there's gonna be animals there. Now those animals they're not gonna be able to eat you. The wolf, the lion, the leopard, the gazelle, hey, the bear, they're not gonna be able to eat you during that time because the Lord is gonna do another miracle. Let's read it. Let's go to Job 5 and 22. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh. Neither thou shalt be afraid of the beasts of the earth. You're not going to be afraid. The Lord's going to put in your spirit not to be afraid of that lion, right? You're going to see 5 lions and you just going to walk up to them and you're going to start petting them, right? Hey, guess what? That's going to happen, right? The Lord's not going to put in your spirit to be afraid of the beasts of the earth. Verse 23, for thou shalt be in a league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the earth shall be at peace with thee, right? And thou shalt know that thy tabernacle shall be in peace, and thou shalt visit thy habitation and shall not sin, right? Because you're not going to be able to sin in the world. Well, under that bond of the covenant, you're not going to be able to go off, as we just read that new covenant. But the Lord said he's going to make another covenant with the beasts of the field, man. So you're not going to be able to be eaten and mauled to death by a she-bear. It's not going to happen, man. You're going to be in league with them. All right, let's go to Ezekiel 34 and 25. Ezekiel chapter 34 and verse number 25. And I will make with them a covenant of peace, and I'll cause the evil beast to cease out of the land, and they shall dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the woods. Meaning you're not going to be looking around, damn, looking for wolves, man, thinking they're going to eat you. Hey, the Lord said he's going to make us lie down safely in the wilderness as sheep, man. All right? So you're going to be safe from all these evil beasts. Verse 26, and I will make them in places round about my hill a blessing, and I'll cause the shower to come down in his season, and there shall be blessing, and there shall be showers of blessing. Right? So that's the point. Hey, guess what? You're not going to be mauled to death by these evil animals. Let's go to Isaiah 11 to 16. That's a beautiful thing, man. Jake get chased by dogs now. Jake go down that alley and see a pit bull and take flight. And next you know, Jake running, trying to jump on cars, right? Kind of slapping the belt against the car, trying to get the dog away so they can go do their wickedness. Jake right now, hey, they get chased by all types of things, man. They don't have that same fear and dominion that Adam had. But just like in the days of old, just like in the Garden of Eden, Adam had rule and dominion over the beasts of the field, and they had that fear. So guess what? In that same time, the 1/3 is gonna have that same rule and dominion over the beasts of the field. And you can see man has some of that now. You kind of see a squirrel, and a squirrel is in their spirit to run away from you. They would never kind of just sit there. A rabbit, you look at a rabbit, as soon as you take one step, they gone because it's in their spirit to fear you as an Israelite man. You know, in that day, all the animals are gonna have that same spirit. Right? Isaiah chapter 11, verse 16. And it says, and there shall be a highway, Ushlaki, now 11, 16, 11. That's not what I want. Hosea 2 and 18. This is the book of Hosea, chapter 2 and verse 18. And it says, in that day will I make a covenant with them with the beasts of the field. Right? This is a third witness saying the same thing. And with the fowls of heaven. And with the creepy things on the ground. And I will break. Hey, Eve not going to look at a beetle and run away. Eve not going to look at a rat or look at a damn whatever and be scared, man. Oh my gosh, that's a mouse, and kind of jump on top of the damn thing. That's not going to happen. The Lord's going to make a covenant with all the creatures, the beasts of the field, the birds, the creepy things on the ground, right? And it says, and I will break the bow and the sword and the battle of the earth, and I will make them to lie down safely, right? So the Lord's going to make that covenant with the people, right? Isaiah 11 and 6 is what I want. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 11, verse 6. And it says, the wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. Imagine you have a child, a 4-year-old child, leading a wolf, leading a leopard, leading a damn a bear, man, riding on top of a bear, talking about, mommy, look what I'm doing. Imagine that, man. You know, there's not going to be animals eating different animals, man. All animals is going to go back to their vegetative estate. You know, there's nothing that Esau talks about the damn food chain, the damn nasty food chain, man. That's not going to be happening, right? These animals are going to be at one with each other, and it's going to be at one with the Israelites. Now, these animals, they can maul the different nations. They can maul up the nations, man. They can do that, right? But as for each other and as for the Israelites, it's not going to happen because we're going to be at peace with them because the Lord's going to make a covenant with the beasts of the field, right? The Lord's going to do that for his people. Well, let's get to the book of 1 Corinthians 13 and 12, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, right now we see out of a glass darkly. We don't really get to see, we can imagine this, we can put our imaginations to the test and imagine what's going on, but really, we see out of a glass darkly. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 12. This is all going to be happening in the second wilderness. And it says, for now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. We're literally going to see the Lord face to face, as we said earlier in the breakdown. You're going to see the Lord face to face. Right now, we see the Lord by only His words. We can only imagine how the Lord's going to be and look just by what is written to us as a generation, and we believe, right? And it says, now I know in part, but then shall I know even as awesome I am known. So how the Lord knows you in your ins and outs, you're going to know the Lord the same way in that day. You're going to know all about the Lord. You're going to see the Lord, face to face. But right now we know in part, right? And it says, and now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity. All right, let's go to Ezekiel 20 and 34. Ezekiel 20 and 34. And it says, and I will bring you out from the people, and I will gather you out of the countries wherein you are scattered with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm, with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face. So the Lord is literally going to be there in the damn flesh, or in the spiritual body, I should say, face to face. You gonna see the Lord. Like as I plead, that's why you're gonna be mourning before the Lord, because you're gonna see who you put to death, man. You know, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so I will plead with you, saith the Lord Yahweh. And I will cause you to pass under the rod and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. What's the bond of the covenant? The covenant that we just read in Jeremiah 31. You're not going to be able to teach every man his neighbor, right? You're going to have the spirit, you're going to have the laws in your inward parts. That's the bond of the covenant. That's what we just read, right? And as a sheep, you have to pass it. That's how a shepherd counts his sheep. He passes them under the rod, right? Let's go to Leviticus chapter 27 and 32. Right? That's what a shepherd does to his sheep. The Lord is being our shepherd. We're the sheep. As we read in numerous verses, the Lord is going to make his sheep lie down safely. Right? Let's Leviticus chapter 27 and verse number 32. And concerning the tithe of the herd or of the flock, even of whatsoever passeth under the rod, the tenth shall be unto the holy place. Right? So the shepherd, right, as the tithe of the herd of the flock, hey, you got the sheep has to pass under that rod, man. That's how you count that sheep. You got to pass under that rod, right? So that's what the Lord's going to do to us. He's going to pass, or the 1/3, he's going to pass them under that rod. All right, so let's go back to Ezekiel chapter 20, right, and verse 38. And I will purge out from among you the rebels. You're gonna have rebels, man. You're gonna have brother, and like I said, if I make you Lord willing, I'm snitching, man. You're gonna have brothers that want to go back to America, just like in the days of ancient Egypt. They wanted to be by that flesh pot. They wanted to be by that damn flesh pot and eat what they was given at the damn slob in ancient Egypt. But guess what? You're gonna have brothers that want to go back to McDonald's. You're gonna have sisters want to get their nails done by Ling Ling, right? On that shop on 63rd. Right? Talk about, oh, my nails. Oh my gosh, why the how long we gotta be in this wilderness? You're gonna die if you do that, man. You scoffing, you murmuring against the Lord, man. How long this kingdom gonna be built up, man? Like you got somewhere to go, man. You're in the wilderness, right? But guess what? The Lord said, as what, hey, I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me, and I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and you shall know that I am the Lord. And guess what? Just like in the days of old, you had all those people die. All of those people died, man, and did not enter into the land of the rest. As we read in Hebrews 3 and 17, the Lord swore that they would not enter the land of his rest because they were rebels, man. They transgressed against the Lord, man, and spoke evil. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 11 and transgressed. It's Ezekiel 11 and 21. But as for them after whose heart walketh after their heart of their detestable things and their abominations, I will recompense their way upon their own heads, saith the Lord. Now, Most High is going to give you back what you deserve in the wilderness, man. You thinking all these damn thoughts, you going off, you thinking to overthrow the Lord and what he has set up. Guess what? You're going to die, man. You wanted to go back to your land of your captivity after the Lord just showed. The Lord rewarded you by letting you see the land of your enemies be destroyed before your face. Not everybody gets to see that. Most men are gonna be dead during that time. But if the Lord allows you to see the destruction of your enemies, man, Sirach said that was a beautiful thing. And then you go off and you murmur against the Lord in the wilderness. Who are you, man? You deserve to go. You deserve to be purged out. All right. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter. Let's go back to Ezekiel chapter 20. Right, Ezekiel 20 and 38. And I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. As for you, O house of Israel, thus saith the Lord God, go ye serve you one of his idols, and here also, if you not hearken unto me, but pollute you my holy name no more with your gifts and with your idols, man. Right? Let's jump down. Jump down to verse 41. I will accept you with your sweet savor, with I brought you out of forth of the people, and to gather you out of the countries wherein you have been scattered, and I will be sanctified in you before the heathen. So the Lord said he's going to be sanctified in us before the heathen. Because when you beam down in that wilderness, hey, these Russians, these other nations, chiefly the Russians, they're gonna try to destroy you. They're gonna try to come and find you and destroy you. You can read about that in Ezekiel chapter 39. Let's get it. And the Lord is gonna be sanctified in the 1/3 before that, before those people. Just how in ancient Egypt, when you left Egypt, when our people left Egypt, you had the Egyptians trying to follow after. That's why they died in that sea. The Most High closed up the waters on them. Man. But guess what? The same thing's gonna happen all over again. This is Ezekiel chapter 39 and verse 8. After many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years, thou shalt be coming to the land that is brought back from the sword and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely of all of them, right in the wilderness, our people. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt come up like a cloud to cover the land. That thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord God, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. So these other nations, these heathen, chiefly the Russians, they're going to think an evil thought. They're going to say, damn, these Israelites, these blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, they're in the middle of the wilderness. Let's kill them all. That's what they're going to be thinking. But what? And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, because our kingdom's not built yet. We don't have any protection. We don't have a fenced city yet. So we're just in the wilderness as a nation. But the Lord is going to be over us. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely of all of them without walls, and not having neither bars nor gates, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are not inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods, to dwell in the midst of the land. So they're going to think to rob us. They're going to think to take all of our things again. Right? Let's jump down to verse 14. Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto Gog, thus saith the Lord God, in that day when my people of Israel dwell safely, shall you not know it? And thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, a great company and a mighty army. They're gonna come with a mighty army just to take down our people in the wilderness. And the Lord's gonna be sanctified in front of the heathen. He's gonna destroy those damn Russians that try to come against our people in the wilderness. And it says, verse 16, and thou shalt come up against my people of Israel as a cloud to cover the land. It shall be in the latter days, I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me. Hey, they gonna know the Lord, man. The Lord's gonna introduce him, right? He's gonna introduce himself to them, right? And it says, "Oh God, before their eyes." Let's go to Revelations. Revelations chapter. Let's see what I want. Bear with me. Right? Because the heathen, they're going to know the Lord, man. They're going to try to come against his people, and the Lord's going to shut all of that down. Right? Revelations 20 and 8. Right? This is Revelation chapter 20, verse 8. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about. Right in the wilderness, they're going to compass the camp of the saints. Right, and it says, and the beloved city, and fire came down from Yahweh out of heaven and devoured them. So that's how they're going to know the Lord. The Lord's going to devour them with that fire. The Lord's utterly going to destroy them. Damn chariot, right? That was over is going to be over our people, and fire is going to shoot down upon that sand of the sea, man. That's going to be a beautiful sight to behold, man. But the Lord said that's going to happen, man. You know, that's going to happen, and that's how these heathens is going to be saint. That's how the heathens going to know that the Lord's our God, and we're going to be sanctified before the Lord. Lord willingly, I make it, but the 1/3 chiefly, man. You know. So, hey, Lord willingly, you guys were edified. That's the second wilderness breakdown. I like to give all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah. Keep this Sabbath holy. And I like to bid a mighty strong shalom.